I have something that I have kept, and I know some of you have seen before. It's one of the first envelopes we got when we started the commutations clinic. It was from a man named Ronald Blunt. I mean, you never know what's going to be inside these envelopes. Sometimes it's like, what are you doing? Or, but he sent me 2 documents. He sent me the transcript of his sentencing and the pre-sentence investigation report in his case, and a cover letter that said, "Can you help me? I'm doing life in prison." And I thought, oh, well, lifer, he must have done something bad. And then I read the case, and what it said was he was a crack addict. His brother, Corey, was a pretty big-time crack dealer in this little town in Louisiana. But Ronald, he was just an addict. And Corey had him help him sometimes. Like he'd drive him someplace, or if people were looking where to buy crack, he'd say, go to Corey's house. Or he'd give Corey a ride someplace. He was going to get life without parole. And he did. And it is sentencing, so he sends me the transcript. And he's describing his life of when he was incarcerated, what he was doing to get convicted, incarcerated. And he's saying, I had nothing to do with a conspiracy, Judge. I mean, they said, I took them to this place over here to obtain, and the court says, where they got crack. And he says, they got it from the village where I hang at. I hang at a store begging for nickels and quarters and dimes. I stayed on the front porch of my mama's house, man. I don't sell dope. I didn't even have one change of clothes. I had to wash every day, Judge. How can I be a seller of dope? And the court says, well, the jury heard, and then he continues, even in the pictures, you've got my bed. You've got my bed in front of my mama's house where they got this picture where I slept on the porch because they didn't trust me because I stole boudin for myself. I take it down the street and sell it for a piece of crack cocaine. That can't be the true story. So I picked up the pre-sentence investigation report, and it said the same thing. This man had been sentenced to life. This black man had been sentenced to life. When he was living on the front porch of his mom's house, so poor, he had to beg for change in the park. Lily and I drove down to New Orleans, and I went to Beaumont to visit him. And he was a Christian. When I left, I took his hands and we prayed. And then later, I got to call him. And I got to call him and tell him he was going to be free. So he comes down to the warden's office, and they hand him the phone, and it's me. And I said, God is good. And he said, all the time. And I said, all the time. And he said, God is good.
Their family tells us they couldn't be happier that they are getting out of prison sooner than expected. But one expert we spoke with says their early release is part of a much bigger picture.
Crime you have to pay for. I just don't think that they should have had life sentences.
Their appeals failed, but Tuesday they were on the list of 111 federal inmates whose sentences were commuted by President Obama. Ronald Jr. will get out on December 28th.
I just couldn't stop thanking God, because my daily prayer has been to please let them get out before I die.
What Obama has done is no different than what the Bushes did, what Reagan did, what other presidents have done.
Attorney Joel Androphy says commuting sentences is the president's way of acknowledging that the justice system didn't work for a lot of people. He tells us the requirements to even be considered are lofty, and violent offenders are excluded.
He was trying to give people an opportunity to have a second chance in life. Maybe because they had poor representation, or maybe because the laws and the sentences were too strict.
A couple years ago, my youngest son, Luke, and I were down in Houston, where he lives now, and we visited him at home. And he was making a big plate of boudin. And that's about as good as life gets.